The Indiana Fever just lost back-to-back games against the Dallas Wings, 19-0 run, against the Washington Mystics, 18-7 to start the fourth quarter. Lost the lead, lost the game. We just lost back-to-back games against teams we had no business losing to, even without Caitlin Clark.
It looked like the Indiana Fever has lost another game due to Kelsey Mitchell. Guys, for this one here...
Well. Looks like Stephanie White and Kelsey Mitchell just managed to turn another winnable matchup into a blooper reel. And the internet isn't exactly holding back on this one. The real kicker? Sophie Cunningham, the one player who could have changed the ending, was left completely unguarded, wide open. Before we dig deeper, let me ask you this. In crunch time, would you honestly have trusted Kelsey with that shot?
Coaching versus the Mystics, her game plan was piss poor. It looked like a third grader probably writ her game plan out.
It almost feels ridiculous that we're still having this conversation, but the Indiana Fever keep giving fans fresh reasons to shake their heads. This latest collapse, courtesy of Stephanie White's questionable play calling and Kelsey Mitchell's inability to deliver under pressure, was the kind of mess that makes people yell at their screens. And then there's Sophie Cunningham, standing there like the obvious solution to a test question, hands ready, wide open, probably thinking, pass me the ball already, only to be ignored. Like a 2 a.m. group text nobody wanted. The disrespect could not have been louder unless they'd blasted it over the PA system.
So until late in the third quarter, you guys were struggling offensively in that frame. Second half in general didn't feel the same as the first half on that end. Did something change for you guys? What did you see as kind of leading stalling on that end?
Yeah, I think we were just kind of slow, and every time that we're slow, especially defensively, it just somehow affects our offense. And so I think the thing that we just have to continue to do that kind of got us on the run we had before the last couple games was we were aggressive at the opposing attack on defense, and that led to easy transition buckets. That led to everyone being aggressive and on their front foot on the offensive end. And we have new players, and that's okay. But we just have to adjust, and we need them. We've faced a lot of adversity, but we should be used to that by now.
This is exactly what happens when ego collides with bad decision-making. Stephanie White clearly bought into the idea that Mitchell was her closer, when in reality, Kelsey has the dependability of a vending machine that eats your dollar and gives you nothing. Sure, she can light it up in stretches, but when the moment is biggest, history tells the story every time. She bricks shots, forces drives, and blows opportunities like clockwork. The stats back it up, and so do the groans from Fever, fans who've already sat through this same disaster too many times.
Second quarter comes around, slippage starts to start. We get up to a 13-point lead. Eventually it falls down. We end up 5 at the half, and that's not a bad half. Come out of the half in the dreaded third quarter, and we are flat. And I feel like in quarters like this, it just feels like we're slashing our own tires. Like we are stifling our own momentum at every turn we can. Like the team came out and they literally looked like they were uncoordinated all of a sudden. Like they were just missing easy shots. They were overshooting. Like they were trying to draw fouls or something. I don't know what's going on with this team.
Before all the blame piles too high, let's take a moment to talk about Sophie Cunningham. Time and time again, she's shown she isn't scared when the game is on the line. No, she's not a league superstar, but she's steady, confident, and the kind of player defenses know they have to respect. On this night, she was wide open, practically holding up a neon sign saying, "Give me the rock." And yet, Stephanie White still chose the least reliable option available. That's not just a mistake. That's coaching malpractice. And here's the part that really stung even Caitlin Clark, now in her second season and already carrying this franchise more than the coaching staff deserves, looked completely done. Cameras caught her reaction after the final play, and you didn't need to be a body language specialist to understand it. Pure frustration. She's out there grinding, giving this team credibility, only to watch her coach hand the final shot to someone who's failed in these moments over and over again. Clark's expression summed up what every fan was thinking. Why in the world didn't you give the ball to Sophie? But let's not pretend this was about just one play. This was a complete game meltdown. The Fever had momentum, the crowd was behind them, and Washington wasn't exactly unbeatable. Indiana had every chance to grab control. Instead, they coughed it up with lazy turnovers, careless defense, and stale offensive sets. Stephanie White looked like she was coaching straight out of an old, dusty manual while her players stumbled through possessions. That's what you get when poor prep meets poor execution. And when it finally came down to one shot, they gave it to the wrong player. Instant regret doesn't even begin to describe it.
Friend Carolyn Peck been, and where has the Indiana Fever are a more dangerous team without Caitlin Clark conversation gone? How come once the Indiana Fever suddenly stop that 5-game win streak, lose 3 of their last 4, how come Carolyn Peck has suddenly stopped showing up on TV? How come that narrative of the Indiana Fever are more dangerous without Caitlin Clark? Why has that suddenly stopped?
And fans? Oh, they weren't quiet. Social media blew up the moment the game ended. Clips of Sophie standing unguarded on the wing started spreading like wildfire. Comment sections roasted both, White and Mitchell, for what might honestly be the dumbest call of the season. And you know what? The criticism was well earned. There's no blaming referees, no blaming tired legs, not even bad luck. This one falls squarely on the coach and the player who thought going full on hero ball was the right call.
To the Stephanie White press conference, we know this lady is allergic, flat out allergic to the word accountability. Stephanie White takes no accountability for anything. We are going to watch her pass the blame to everybody. I have not watched it yet. I'm going to see it with you guys.
Which brings us to the bigger question. What is Stephanie White's actual vision for this team? From the outside, it looks less like she's trying to win games and more like she's forcing a narrative. That just doesn't work. If the priority was winning, the play would have been drawn up for Sophie Cunningham or Caitlin Clark, not Kelsey Mitchell. And that's not just shade at Kelsey. Actually, maybe it is, but it's also the cold truth. At this point, Mitchell has shown everyone exactly who she is. She's not a closer. She's not steady in pressure situations. And yet, somehow, she keeps getting the keys in the most important moments. That's madness. And if you're Sophie Cunningham, how do you not feel insulted? You did your job, spaced the floor, got into position, and still got overlooked. Not because you weren't the right option, but because of sheer coaching stubbornness. That's the kind of move that makes players lose trust in leadership. And once trust is gone, you're not getting it back easily. Inside that locker room, you have to imagine tension is thick after a loss like this. Everyone knows who should have taken the shot versus who actually did. Film doesn't lie. The truth doesn't lie. Sophie was the right answer, and they ignored her. And don't forget the standings. The Fever aren't exactly locked into a playoff spot, and every win counts. Dropping games like this doesn't just damage morale, it hurts the numbers. They're slipping into 7th, and at this rate, they're going to limp into the postseason looking like they don't even deserve to be there. And that's unfair to players like Caitlin Clark or Aaliyah Boston, who give everything they've got. They deserve a coach who can close out games, not one who recycles the same errors while expecting a different result. The irony? Sophie Cunningham's reputation for being clutch is exactly why defenses take her seriously. She's already proven she can hit the big ones. Opposing coaches know it. Opposing players know it. But apparently Stephanie White didn't. Instead, she let Mitchell drive recklessly into the lane, like it was some meaningless scrimmage. And the ending was exactly what you'd expect. A missed layup, a blown chance, and yet another loss added to the column. That's not strategy. That's incompetence in disguise. 7. Which brings us back around to Stephanie White. Because let's be real, this all starts with her. A head coach's #1 responsibility in crunch time is to give their players the best shot at success, not set them up to fail. Not run back the same script that's already blown up in your face before. And yet, White ran the same tired scenario again. Seriously, how do you watch Mitchell miss in a big moment one night and then decide, yep, let's do that again? That's not coaching. That's stubbornness dressed up as cluelessness. It's like jamming the same dead batteries into a remote and expecting the channel to change.